Welcome back to the Back in Time channel. Nick Cannon is starting to feel guilty about not spending enough time with his kids. Now, this is coming off or after Mariah Carey stated with Radar Online that she wished that he could carve out a little more time for his previous kids that he had with Mariah Carey in their marriage, Monroe and Moroccan. Now, Nick Cannon took to Radar Online and he spoke about his duties as a father to 11 children, revealing his biggest guilt comes from not being able to enjoy as much quality time as he would prefer with all of them. Now, RadarOnline.com has learned that the Wild 'N Out host dished about his big family during an episode of Paramount's Plus, The Checkup with Dr. David August. Now, this is what Nick Cannon said with Dr. August. He said, 1, because I'm constantly working, and 2, because I'm just spread it thin. Now, if you can remember, Nick just welcomed baby number 11, a newborn named Beautiful Zeppelin Cannon with Abby De La Rosa. They also share twins Zion and Zillion. So Nick Cannon just had his number 11th child, and he has one on the way, which will make number 12 with Alyssa Scott. So that I feel like he's bitten off more than he can chew. I mean, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, he was hospitalized due to him having pneumonia, and also he gets hospitalized a lot because of his lupus. He has this condition, his body goes under this attack. Now, if you know anything about lupus, you know it's a very serious condition. It affects people very traumatically. It affects them not only mentally, but it affects them physically. So a lot of times they're physically unable to do a lot of things. Now, while I don't know what it feels like to be attacked by this disease, lupus, I do know people who have experienced it. I know people who go through those kind of attacks with lupus and who have basically been restricted from working a lot. If you don't know Toni Braxton, she has lupus, so a lot of her things that she could do before she got diagnosed, she can't no longer do. So a lot of her work is hindered because of this disease. And so this is no different from Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon has this disease, and if he overworks himself, it will take a toll on his body, and his body will react to it. And it will react to it a lot sooner because Nick suffers from this disease. My opinion about Nick and his kids is that I feel like, you know, in my opinion, I feel like if you want to have kids, you can have however many kids you want to. But I feel like you have to be smart and think about your decisions before you make them. And you got to think about what's gonna or how it's gonna affect you in the long run. Because Nick Cannon, when he had his first kids by Mariah Carey, they were married. He's no longer married now. And so it seems like after he got married with Mariah Carey, he just went on this seed spreading tour and just dropped seeds wherever with whomever was willing to have a baby by him. And it's not a good look, because at the end of the day, you are a working man. You are a father, and you have to be there for your kids. I honestly don't feel like he can honestly look in the mirror and say that he is proud of what he has done, because honestly, you can be a provider. You can be able to buy your kids everything in the world. You can be able to afford them the lifestyle that you have created for your own self. They can still have those experiences, but at the end of the day, if you're not there physically for them, emotionally for them, because he has girls, if you're not there physically, emotionally, if you're not able to meet your first kids, your son's baseball game or football practice, or meet your girl's first cheer, you know what I'm saying, celebrating her being on the team, or even if you miss birthdays because you have to commit to work, or you end up hospitalized, then at the end of the day, you're gonna feel guilty about that. That's gonna be on you. And not only that, that's gonna strain your relationship further down the line with your kids, because there's going to be a lot of resentment there. They're not going to care about what you can do for them, all the nice things you've done for them. They're going to be worried about and concerned, where were you when they needed you? And I don't feel like Nick Cannon is going to be able to provide all that type of support to 12 different kids with 6 baby mamas. That's just my honest opinion about it. And it's kind of sad when you think about it, because at first he was making light of it. Everybody was clowning him, and he was getting so much backlash from it. He made jokes. He recently made Christmas jokes.
It's almost the holidays. And thanks to me, the world now has 8 billion people. But my job's not done. It's time to do some online Christmas shopping. And based off the baby mama to kid ratio, we got a whole hell of a lot of gifts to buy. Let's go! And to start it off, my adorable and jovial offspring gave me a list. Daddy's got this. It's gonna be a merry Christmas. I didn't get none of this stuff when I was a kid. You know what my daddy got me? A stick. Used to call me Stick Cannon. No, I can't afford the whole Lakers. Maybe one of them. All these damn gifts, y'all just don't want to go to college, huh? Where are you gonna put a dolphin, little girl? Huh? Oh yeah, your mama do got an island. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna work on the dolphin. Happy holidays. From my big ass family to yours. Yeah, how much can I get for this kidney?
And now you can kind of see the effects of that on him, because now he's saying he feel guilty about it. So this is something that he's just going to have to eat at the end of the day. He's going to have to make do and do the best he can. I mean, not to mention that the man has a sickly disease. This man has lupus. So that means you're already limited. You think your time with your work, limited time with your kids, your disease, the attack that your body goes under, limit that. Because if you're stuck in a hospital, how are you supposed to work? How are you supposed to keep up with the lifestyle that you have afforded yourself and that you're affording your kids? You can't provide if you can't work. And if you stuck up in the hospital, guess what? Even though you might have insurance and stuff like that, you got other bills that's piling up. You got bills from your household, from your baby mama's household, or child support, or whatever you got that's just constantly piling up. So now you're stuck where you constantly have to work. You have no choice but to work to constantly provide. And if your body is not well rested and not in a healthy state, you're no good. So best of luck to Nick Cannon in this situation. I hope he figures it out and has a great plan, because like I said, it's going to be hard to be there physically for 12 different kids, and you got all these different baby mamas, and they probably be spread out throughout the coast. Who knows where they stay? I'm pretty sure all of them don't live in the same state. So I hope he figures it out. Now, the next people I want to talk about is Masika and Hazel E. Now, if you're not new to the Love and Hip Hop franchise, you know that Hazel E and Masika have been beefing since the beginning of time. And a lot of people, I've looked online, a lot of people seem to think that Hazel E and Masika's beef is something that's just petty, and it's really not. It's not really something that's drilled down to Hazel E saying something about her working with Masika's baby daddy, and Hazel E saying something about her daughter online. It goes a little bit deeper than that, and I'm going to give you a backstory on that. But before I give you a backstory on that, I'm going to go ahead and play you this clip where Hazel E made this comment on Megan Jane's podcast that really kicked off or reignited the feud between her and Masika. So go ahead and check out this clip, and then I'm going to come back with some more information.
Kelsey and you're Megan, and I'm fucking Tori first, and you going behind my back fucking that nigga. We not friends.
Who, Masika?
You fuck one of your old men, old boos?
That's how the whole season started, with her snaking me and backdooring me with Young Bird. Like...
Okay, so you just seen that comment that Hazel E made up in that clip on that podcast, and a lot of people thought that this was just petty for Hazel E to bring it up. But in the context of it, the reason why it was brought up is because the situation they were talking about, Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez and Kelsey, and how it was betrayal and backstabbing with that situation. Hazel E brought up Masika's name because I guess she could relate, because Hazel E and Masika's beef goes all the way back, starting at Young Bird, aka Hitmaker. Before he was Hitmaker, his name was Young Bird. That's what he went by. And so he was in a relationship, or supposedly was supposed to be with Hazel E. He led her on to believe a lot of things, and just really, had her thinking that they was really together. And Masika knew about this. Hazel E would tell her everything what's going on with him or whatever. Next thing you know, Masika ends up with Young Bird, aka Hitmaker, and the beef just spiraled from there. They got into it, they fell out, and Hazel felt betrayed. So her saying this in this clip is what she was referencing to when she said something about Masika's name. Now, that beef boiled over and went further because Hazel E said that she did some work with Fetty Wap, who happens to be Masika's baby daddy, and Masika was claiming that it wasn't Fetty Wap, it was Fetty Flop. So she was saying that Hazel E was never in the studio with Fetty Wap or whatever like that, and so they beefed it like that. And when Hazel E found out that Masika said this online, she said, well, if it wasn't Fetty Wap I was working with, then it must not be Fetty Wap who's the baby daddy. So she was claiming that Masika was lying about having a baby by Fetty Wap, and so the beef spiraled from there. They've been going at it for years for it.
Are you ready to apologize for the ignorant, cowardly, asinine comment you made about my child?
I think your child is beautiful. I didn't make any comment about her. You actually referred to my record saying it wasn't your BD.
And it's not.
And then I said, well, maybe the child isn't his as well. I have BD money. Why aren't you getting some work done? I expected you to look magnificent. I'm actually disappointed.
And I expected you too, Navel He. I did.
I am.
I did. You just got sucked and plucked and pumped, so I'm not coming.
Recently, a couple of years back, they just did a conversation that went south because Masika jumped up like somebody's mad auntie who's drunk at a reunion and just went completely off on Hazel E, and they could not get along. Also, they just been beefing, taking digs at each other online, subtle digs back and forth for the very longest. And so this jump started the beef off with them. After Hazel made this comment, let me show you what Masika had to say, and then I'm gonna go back and show you what Hazel had to say, and I'm gonna show you what the people in the comments had to say, and I'm gonna come back with the rest of my thoughts. So I just played to you what Masika had to say and what Hazel E had to say in response to Masika. My thoughts are this: can we all just get along? Can we let bygones be bygones? This beef between Masika and Hazel E is just, it's a dead horse. It has been beat over and over and over and over again, and I feel like it's just senseless for these two to be constantly going back and forth on the line about each other. Now, I get in that moment Hazel E was just commenting on a part of her past or something that happened in her life. However, I do feel like that was not necessary because, again, you know, y'all as celebrities, y'all know in the media, which makes me believe that it's some type of storyline in the works, because if you've been following Hazel E like I have, you know that in some of her past interviews or her recent interviews she's been doing, she's been talking about she's been in talks with VH1 and stuff, and she's planning on returning to Love and Hip Hop franchise. Now, which franchise that is, I don't know. I could assume that it will be Hollywood, but at the same time, you know, they've been doing a lot of revamping on the franchise, making these all-star casts, mixing and mingling franchises. So I don't know which one she might return to, but I do know that she's supposed to return to the franchise. So with that being said, it will only make sense for her to be having outside beef going on with Masika. But to be honest with you, the issues Hazel E has going on with her estranged husband alone, that's enough for a storyline to carry her throughout the whole season, just due to the things that she's been going through. So I think that was just kind of petty in that moment that Hazel E brought up that situation, because Masika was, you know, chilling, you know, with her pina colada on her own island, minding her business. And when you say something about Masika, you gotta know that she gonna show up and show out and be lethal with her mass weapon of destruction, what happens to be her clapback, her mouth. So best of luck to these two. Hope these ladies work it out. Now, these are just my thoughts, but who really cares about my thoughts? I really care about what you guys think. So let me know down below what you think about this whole situation. Let me know what you think about Nick Cannon and him feeling regretful for not being able to spend enough time with his kids. Let me know your thoughts on that. Also, let me know your thoughts about Masika and Hazel E. Do you think Hazel E could have just kept her mouth shut, even though that's a part of her past that she was just talking about in the podcast briefly? Or do you think she should have just left it alone and Masika was right to fire back at her? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe here with us at Back in Time. But until next time,
This is a good time. Get the stepping. This is a good time. Get the stepping.